It was supposed to be his moment of vindication. It was supposed to be the moment Prince Harry stood up to the British press and became the hero he always claimed to be. But instead, what unfolded inside that London courtroom wasn't a victory lap. It was a complete and total self-destruction. We aren't just talking about a bad day in court. We are talking about a catastrophic meltdown that has humiliated the royal family, enraged Meghan Markle, and potentially cost the Duke of Sussex everything he has left. Harry didn't just lose the plot, he torched the script. From arguing with the judge to contradicting his own memoir, his first day on the witness stand in his war against the Daily Mail was a disaster of epic proportions. He played the victim card. He complained about his life as the world's least happy millionaire. But beneath the whining, something much darker was happening. Sources say Harry is isolated, homesick, and realizing that his American dream has become a nightmare. And with $40 million on the line, the consequences of this trial could leave him financially ruined. But if you think the money is the biggest problem, just wait until you hear about the ex-girlfriend who has suddenly become the center of this case and why her involvement has Meghan Markle absolutely furious. Let's get straight into the chaos. When you walk into a high court in London, there is a level of decorum expected, especially from a prince. But Harry walked in and essentially threw a tantrum. Witnesses described him as a hot mess. He wasn't composed, he was combative. He spent his time in the witness box arguing with the judge, contradicting himself, and appearing to fib about basic details like his use of the pseudonym Mr. Mischief. It got so bad that the Judge Justice Matthew Nicklin had to stop the proceedings and publicly rebuke him. Imagine this scene. A high court judge looking down at the son of the king and having to explain to him how to behave like an adult. The judge told him point blank that he was doing exactly what difficult litigants do, arguing back instead of answering the question. It was a humiliating dress down. The judge basically told him, "You are not special here. Answer the question." But Harry couldn't help himself. He kept interrupting. He kept trying to justify his actions. It was a display of arrogance that proved once and for all that Harry hates accountability. He claims he wants privacy, yet he is standing in a public court dragging up stories from 20 years ago. He claims he wants peace, yet he is launching a needless and bitter war. The legal experts in the room were stunned. One observer noted that Harry behaved like an immature teenager throwing one big epic tantrum because he wasn't getting his way. But while Harry was busy fighting with the judge, the defense lawyer dropped a nuclear bomb that shifted the entire focus of the trial, and it had nothing to do with the press and everything to do with a woman named Chelsea. This is where the story gets personal and frankly heartbreaking for anyone who remembers the old Harry. The defense started reading testimony about Harry's relationship with Chelsea Davy. For those who don't know, Chelsea was widely considered the true love of Harry's life. She was the one who didn't care about the titles. She was the one who wanted a quiet life. And suddenly, intimate details of their relationship, their romantic trips to Botswana, their private conversations, their plans for the future were being read aloud in court. Harry sat there, his face pale, forced to listen to the details of the life he left behind. And you have to understand why this stings so much. Chelsea Davy represents everything Meghan Markle is not. Chelsea came from money. She didn't need Harry's fame. She avoided cameras. She never leaked stories. She maintained her dignity and moved on to live a happy, quiet life with a husband and children in Africa, the exact life Harry claimed he wanted but failed to achieve. And reports coming out of California suggest Meghan is absolutely beside herself with rage. Why? Because the contrast is brutal. While Harry is in London reminiscing about his true love in sworn testimony, Meghan is watching the world compare her to Chelsea. Every article mentions how grounded Chelsea was. Every comment section is full of people saying she was the one who got away. It highlights the massive difference between the woman who monetized every aspect of their relationship, Meghan, and the woman who refused to sell out Chelsea. But it gets worse. Harry is arguing that the Daily Mail invaded his privacy by reporting on this relationship. Yet he never asked Chelsea if she wanted her private life dragged through the international courts 2 decades later. Her husband reportedly told Harry to stop talking about her. Harry ignored him. Now Chelsea's name is plastered across every newspaper in the world again, all because Harry needs to play the victim. It is selfish, it is reckless, and it proves he doesn't care who he hurts in his quest for vengeance. But while he was busy obsessing over his ex-girlfriend, the defense was busy preparing their strongest weapon against him, his own book. Before she died, Queen Elizabeth gave Harry a piece of advice that now feels like a prophecy. She pulled him aside and begged him, "Never put pen to paper, Harry." She warned him that what is in print stays in print. She knew her grandson. She knew he was impulsive, short-sighted, and driven by emotion. She understood that once you publish something, it becomes permanent evidence that can be used against you forever. Harry, in his infinite wisdom, thought he knew better than a woman who sat on the throne for 70 years. He ignored her. He published Spare. He went on a global press tour bragging about how accurate it was, claiming he had fact-checkers and that this was his definitive truth. Well, that arrogance has now walked him right into a legal trap. The Daily Mail's lawyers are tearing him apart using his own words. When Harry claims one thing in court, they open his book and point to a page where he says the exact opposite. He wrote about drug use. He wrote about private conversations. He wrote about memory lapses. Now the defense is using those admissions to paint him as an unreliable witness. They are essentially saying, "You admitted your memory is shot from years of drug abuse, so why should the court believe you now?" The irony is staggering. The book he wrote to make millions and hurt his family is now the very thing destroying his credibility in court. The Queen saw this coming. She tried to stop it, but Harry didn't listen. And now the prophecy is fulfilling itself in the most devastating way possible. And speaking of family, Harry's main excuse for not suing sooner was that the palace stopped him. But there is one major problem with that excuse, and his name is Prince William. Harry loves to claim that the never complain, never explain policy of the royal family prevented him from seeking justice. He testified under oath that he was blocked from taking action. But that lie falls apart when you look at his brother. While Harry was complaining, Prince William was quietly winning. Years ago, William sued specifically for privacy violations regarding Kate. He didn't make a documentary about it. He didn't go on Oprah. He hired lawyers, he went to court, and he won. He proved you absolutely could sue the media as a working royal if you did it professionally. But here is the detail that should humiliate Harry to his core. When William won those lawsuits, he didn't pocket the cash. He donated his entire winnings to the Invictus Games, Harry's own charity. Let that sink in for a second. William fought the battles, won the cases, maintained his dignity, and then gave the money to his brother's cause. Meanwhile, Harry is suing for revenge and desperately trying to keep the money for himself. The difference in class and character is undeniable. William sought justice. Harry seeks a paycheck and attention. This destroys Harry's entire narrative. He can't claim the palace has a blanket ban on suing when the future king successfully did it multiple times. It proves that Harry wasn't silenced, he was just protected from making a fool of himself. And now that the protection is gone, we are seeing the results. But why is Harry doing this now? Why the sudden desperation? If you follow the money, the answer becomes terrifyingly clear. Let's talk numbers, because the math isn't adding up. Since leaving the royal family in 2020, Harry and Meghan have supposedly earned over $150 million. Between the Netflix deal, the Spotify deal, and the advance for Spare, they should be set for life. But look closer, and that money is vanishing into thin air. Their lifestyle is bleeding them dry. The Montecito mansion cost $14 million. Their private security bill is estimated at $3 million a year. And now this lawsuit alone could cost Harry $40 million in legal fees if he loses. But it's not just the expenses. It's the fact that the income streams are drying up. Spotify fired them. Executives there openly called them grifters. People who take the money and don't deliver the work. That label is a death sentence in Hollywood. Industry insiders say the Sussex brand is toxic. Netflix is reportedly questioning their renewal. The documentary underperformed. The adaptation of Spare is stalled. Every project they touch generates controversy but fails to keep an audience. They are being described as perpetual house guests who show up to events, use other people's private jets, and stay in other people's vacation homes because they can't afford to maintain their own billionaire lifestyle. Harry is seemingly suing because he needs the cash. He needs a win. But instead of a windfall, he is facing financial devastation. If the judge rules against him and things are looking bad, Harry could be personally liable for the legal bills of both sides. We are talking about potential bankruptcy. We are talking about the forced sale of the mansion, and the people who know this best, his own lawyers. Which brings us to the most suspicious part of this entire saga. You know a ship is sinking when the crew starts jumping overboard. In the middle of this high-stakes battle, multiple senior attorneys from Harry's legal team have suddenly withdrawn. This almost never happens in high-profile cases unless the lawyers see a catastrophe coming and don't want their names attached to the wreckage. It's not just one lawyer quitting for personal reasons. It is an exodus. Why? Because the case is built on shaky ground, and the tactics being used are getting dirty. There are accusations of dark arts, the very thing Harry claims to be fighting against. Reports have surfaced that Harry's team has been working with convicted phone hackers and private investigators to dig up dirt on the Daily Mail. The hypocrisy is blinding. Harry stands on his moral high ground preaching about ethics while his team is allegedly paying thousands of pounds to shady characters for information. There are claims of payments for sworn evidence and the deliberate creation of misleading email chains. One witness even accused Harry's legal team of intimidation. These lawyers know that if this goes south, it's not just a lost case, it's a career killer. They see the statute of limitations issues. They see the contradictions in Harry's testimony. They see a client who cannot control himself on the stand. So they are collecting their fees and getting out before the verdict comes down. But for Harry, there is no escape. And the worst case scenario isn't just losing money, it's losing his freedom. We need to talk about the P word, perjury. Lying under oath is a serious crime. It's not a civil penalty where you write a check and go home. It's a criminal offense that carries jail time. And Harry has walked himself right into the danger zone. The legal standard for perjury is high. You have to prove someone knowingly lied. But Harry made it easy for them. He wrote a book, sold it as the absolute truth, and is now saying things in court that directly contradict that book. You can't have it both ways. You can't say, I remember everything clearly in your memoir to sell copies and then say, I have no memory of that in court to avoid liability. Legal analysts are already debating whether prosecutors could bring charges. The evidence isn't just conflicting witness testimony. It is Harry's own words in print versus his sworn statements. If the judge decides Harry is deliberately misleading the court, this moves from a civil lawsuit to a criminal investigation. He is following in the footsteps of his uncle, Prince Andrew. Both men were arrogant. Both thought they were above the rules. Both thought they could outsmart the legal system. Prince Andrew ended up disgraced, stripped of his titles, and exiled from public life. Harry is tracing that exact same path, but he's doing it loudly, publicly, and voluntarily. But to truly understand why this case is collapsing, we have to look at the bizarre, almost childish lies Harry got caught in. You might have heard the phrase Mr. Mischief. It sounds like a character from a children's book, but in the High Court, it became the smoking gun that shattered Harry's credibility. During cross-examination, Harry was asked about an article claiming he used the pseudonym Mr. Mischief to sign into clubs. Harry stood there under oath and flatly denied it. He claimed he never used that name. He acted offended that the lawyer would even suggest it. But then the defense pulled up the receipts evidence suggesting he did use it. It seems like a small detail, right? Who cares what nickname he used at a nightclub 20 years ago? The court cares. Because if you are willing to lie about something so trivial, so meaningless, what else are you lying about? It painted a picture of a man who instinctively fibs when he feels cornered. The judge watched this happen. The press watched this happen. It wasn't just a memory lapse. It was a reflex. Harry was fighting the lawyer on every single point, even the ones that didn't matter, just to avoid admitting he was wrong. And the defense didn't stop there. They pivoted to an even darker argument, the paranoia defense. The Daily Mail's lawyers are essentially arguing that Harry's memories of media intrusion might not be real, they might be hallucinations. Remember, in his own book, Spare Harry bragged about his heavy drug use during this exact period in his life. He described doing psychedelics, smoking weed, and drinking heavily to numb his pain. He described seeing things that weren't there, like a bin talking to him. Now the defense is weaponizing those admissions. They are asking a brutal question. Harry, are you remembering photographers hiding in the bushes, or are you remembering the paranoia of a drug-induced haze? When you admit to being constantly intoxicated and paranoid in your own memoir, you hand the defense the perfect weapon. They can claim that his truth is distorted by years of substance abuse. Harry thought sharing his drug stories made him relatable. Instead, it made him legally incompetent. He handed them the hammer, and now they are using it to smash his case to pieces. Harry looks haggard. He looks defeated. The photos coming out of London show a man who is a shell of what he was 5 years ago. This isn't just aging. This is the physical toll of systematic self-destruction. He has burned through $150 million. He has alienated his family to the point where his father and brother won't even take his calls. He has dragged the love of his life, Chelsea Davy, back into a spotlight she hates just to score points. And for what? For a lawsuit that legal experts say he is likely to lose. For a sense of vindication that no one else cares about. Meghan stayed home in California, letting Harry take the heat alone while the world remembers the dignified ex-girlfriend who escaped this mess. The reality is setting in. Harry bet everything on this war against the press. He bet his reputation, his finances, and his relationship with his family. And it looks like he is about to lose the final hand. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Is this lawsuit really about justice? Or is it the desperate act of a man who realizes he made the biggest mistake of his life? And if he loses everything, the money, the mansion, the titles, will Meghan stay? Or will she be the next one to exit? Let me know in the comments. Are you Team Chelsea or Team Meghan? And do you think Harry is heading for bankruptcy or divorce first? Like and subscribe for part 2, where we break down the verdict as soon as it drops. You won't want to miss it.